Well, I was born March the 22nd, 1976, and raised in Strayhorn. My dad was a very hard-working man, still is, almost 70 years old, and my mom worked occasionally, and I had one sister. A typical American home. Church doors was open, we was there. There wasn't no doubt about it. I tried to pitch as many fits as I could, but I had a drug problem. Anytime the church door was open, I got drugged to church, and that's just the way it was. When I turned 8 years old, I guess my curiosity was piqued. I guess from the millions of times that I did go to church, I started asking my dad questions. And I am blessed to have probably one of the most godliest men of my life, and he's my dad, and I couldn't be more proud of him. Over about a 2-3 month period, I would come ask him questions, and he would never push the issue on me. He would never try to lead me in any direction. He let me do it at my own pace, and I guess I'd ask him a few questions the best I can remember, and then I would come back probably 2 or 3 weeks later, and I'd ask him some more questions. And the old saying about the best ability is the availability, and that proved to be true, because my dad was available right there for me. And, I can remember when I was 8 years old, I made a decision to follow Christ, and he was the one to lead me in that direction. Well, a few years went by, and life seemed to be trucking on along, I guess the best you can when you're 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. And there was a day when I was 12 years old, I believe it was in February, and it was just as vivid as what I did this morning. My dad got up one morning from working second shift and came in there, and it was me and my mom and my sister, and we were sitting around we had a wood burning heater, and of course it was cold, and he comes in there, and she looks him square in the eye and tells him that she don't love him anymore. And of course my dad hit the ground, and I think at that point right there, my life just completely turned upside down, and it never was the same. The next 2 years was rough. It was just a flat out struggle. I watched somebody that I dearly love fall on his hands and his knees every night. And when I say every night, I mean every night. And he begged God to bring my mom home. And I couldn't understand why. Why would he continue to ask for this woman to come back into our lives after what she had done to us? And it's hard. It really is, because, I was right there at 12, 13 years old, and I definitely needed that mother figure in my life, and she was no longer in the picture. And here I have my dad. He's taken on more work really than what he could handle, because we lived on a 2-income household, and so now he's gone most of the time, and when he is there, he's a broken man. And but he never wavered from God's purpose. He continued to serve him, and what can I say? It was a tough time, but he is, without a doubt, like I said, still a rock. There's no doubt about it. Well, my teenage years took over, and going through high school, and if you could name the trouble, I was pretty much involved in it. And I would say probably 90% of the stuff that I got into was to try to get over on my old man. And not necessarily to enjoy some of the stuff, but just to see if I could get away with it. And I would say 9 times out of 10 he would catch me. And we didn't get by with too much. When we got caught doing stuff, when me and my sister got caught doing stuff, we paid the price for it. And I had jobs all through high school. My dad was a believer in of this non-entitlement thing, especially right now we're living through this entitlement generation. My dad is not a believer in that, and therefore I'm not a believer in that. I worked for everything I've had and had been doing so since I was 15 years old, working at restaurants or grocery stores or fish ponds or whatever. I had to work for what I wanted, and that's just the way life was. Graduated high school and started working a full-time job up here at Cronecraft, and I wound up running into a girl up here in Senatobia one night, and probably less than a year later we were married, and, at 19 years old, and that's already a hard road to hoe. And a year later we have a daughter, and that just added a whole lot more confusion to things, and I ain't gonna lie, it was hard. It's already hard enough to be that young, and you throw a kid in the mix, it gets even harder. So, well, over the next probably 2 or 3 years, it was just us three, and then I think my daughter, my second daughter, was born about 3 years later, and she only weighed 1 pound and 6 ounces. So when people tell me that there's no miracles in this world, I point to her, and because now she's just as healthy as she can be. It's hard to put into words what a 1 pound 6 ounce baby looks like, but when you can take your wedding ring and run it all the way up her leg, that right there, that just, I mean, what can you say? And a year later, we had a boy, and so I think at that point right then, we pretty much stopped trying, because that was kind of our goal, to have at least one boy, or at least my goal. And I think life was good. In my eyes, life was good. We was going to church, and but there was something that was still a major problem in our family's life. My wife was raised in one different denominational church, and I was in this denominational church, and there's a reason that Paul talks about being unequally yoked, and it was a constant struggle. I'm not gonna lie. It was. I knew Saturday morning was gonna be it was either gonna be a fight or gonna be a conflict, or it was gonna be an issue one way or the other. But we managed to plug on through it, and we made it up to, I'd say, 13 years. Once again, I was about to travel down the same road that my dad had traveled down. But this time I wasn't going through it secondhand. This was a first-hand account. And I had no idea what the next couple of years had in store for me, but I made a promise to God within the first week after it all went down that I remembered in the book of Job, I believe it's in the 13th chapter. It says, as though even though he slay me, I will still find hope in him. And I hung on. Because there were nights that I laid in bed by myself where it's hard to put in words. I mean, it really is. When your kids have been stripped away from you, when your wife is with someone else, you don't care if you live or breathe. I mean, you really don't. I've always looked at people who have been at the end of their ropes and want to commit suicide, and I looked at them as cowards. But until you're there, you have no idea. You can't relate. Well, over the next couple of years, I pretty much really didn't care what happened. For the most part, I got to see my kids every other weekend and on Thursdays. But when you're a dad, it pretty much wants to be involved in every aspect of your kid's life, and you're pretty much used to seeing your kids every single day and putting them to bed at night or playing ball with them or going to eat with them or whatever. It's just when you don't get that privilege, and it is a privilege, when it's taken away from you, it's devastating. There were days that I didn't get up and go to work, and thank God that I worked for a godly man that knew what I was going through, because he had been through it, and there was so much grace and mercy that he showed me to not only keep me employed there, but also for him to lend an ear anytime I wanted to call and talk to him about it. And when you go through something like that, you don't want to talk to anybody that has never been through that. It's sort of like somebody who's ever been through cancer. They can only relate to someone else who's had the same sickness. And at any rate, after about 2.5 years of basically being on my own and by myself, I started dating, and lo and behold, I ran into one of my old cashiers at Piggly Wiggly. God brought us back together, and we started dating, and she knew I was still broken, and that I wasn't ready for anything serious. I remember her telling me that. And little did I know that God had something in store. A few months down the road, we kind of separated and broke up, and I started dating another girl, and she started dating another guy, and before long, she was engaged to this fella, and I was engaged to this girl, and that went on probably for about another year, and the Lord started talking to both of us and telling us, this ain't the path I want y'all to take, and you're gonna wind up in the same boat that both of y'all have been in already for the second time if you continue down the same road. And she had been in a pretty rocky relationship with her previous marriage, and so she could kind of relate to what I had been through, and so neither one of us wanted to make that mistake again. So we started heeding to God's word, and before long, God had brought us back together. And on Valentine's Day of 2012, I can honestly say I married my best friend. During one of those nights when I laid in bed and I watched that ceiling fan turn 1,000,000 times, because I didn't care if I slept, I didn't care if I breathed, I do remember praying a prayer. I said, Lord, if you've got somebody else out there for me, I want her to love you more than she loves me. I want her to put you number one in her life in all aspects, and then I can take my place. But if I can't have that, then that's fine, because that's the only thing I want. I guess that was me being kind of selfish. But he gave me that, and I can tell you right now, I wouldn't trade it for nothing. So looking back now, I know for a fact that God did not cause my divorce. It says in the book of Micah that he hates divorce. But I do know he allowed it. Because you see, when I was married to my first wife, I was going to church every single time the doors were open. I was very involved. I was teaching classes. You name it, I wanted to volunteer to do it. But I let the almighty dollar take God's place. I started working a lot of hours, and I started making a lot of money, and before long I stopped coming to church. I stopped reading my Bible. I got out of His Word. And I'm going to tell you right now, He did everything He could in His power, and that's a whole lot of power, to bring His child back to Him. And it's really sad that it had to come to that. But that just shows how bullheaded that some people can be. I'm pretty much as bullheaded as they come. But he broke me. And he did it because he loves me. It's that I'm more blessed than I ever have been in my life. I've got a woman that loves God. I'm healthy and she's healthy, and I've got healthy kids. She's got healthy kids. We have healthy kids. And I've got a 1-year-old grandson. God's been so good to me. Well, currently, my wife and I are serving at LaBelle Haven Baptist Church. That's right up the road on 305. Been going there a little over a year. We absolutely love it. I'm teaching Sunday school class, and I love the folks that are in our class, and we have a good time. We get in the Word and we study it, and we find out what the Word says and break it down and look at it from all different kind of angles. And I think there's a whole lot of growth. I'm getting several folks calling me during the week and wanting to know the hows and the whys and the whats, and that's where that big church word comes in, sanctification, and it's just a lifelong process of growing like Christ, and that's what it's all about right there. It's trying to imitate, just like the book of Ephesians said, trying to be imitators of Christ. And I tell you, if we're not going to serve, then what's the point, you know? So I think my wife and I are in a good spot right now, and what can I say? I'm truly blessed. I've got a beautiful wife that loves the Lord. I own my own small business. My wife has a great job. We've got great health, and life's good. I'm here to tell you that you can do whatever you want on your own, and 99.9% of the time you're going to fail. But when God's on your side, how can you? Because He's got your best intentions at heart. He loves you. He wants the best for you. Sure, you're going to go through some valleys, but as long as you keep your eyes on Christ, you'll never sink like old Peter did. I'm Jamie Red, and His grace is more than enough.